The strategy that I want to share with you today for Fenix started off as a bit of a joke. I actually didn't intend for it to work whatsoever, but it turned out to be very powerful. So there's this level 10 upgrade that you get while leveling him up called the Operational Efficiency. Structures no longer have tech requirements and have their gas costs reduced by 100%, meaning that you can actually skip out the gateway, the cybernetics core, and everything else that you normally need to start off with a Stargate right from the get-go. Now, the strategy that I want to share with you today is extremely powerful, in particular on some maps. And the one that I will be focusing on today is called Void Launch. It's the mission where you have to basically destroy all of these ships, these capital ships that are trying to fly towards the beacons. The reason for that is two very specific units. And first off, we got the Scout, a versatile, high-speed fighter. This guy right here is extremely powerful, in particular in anti-air battles. Its anti-ground attack is not that great, and it's also rather expensive for, the strength that it actually has, but it's extremely good at shooting down anything that flies in the sky. Secondly, we got the carrier here as well, the capital ship. It builds and launches interceptors that attack enemy targets. Now, on top of that, we've got the champion AI for both of those units available as well, that will basically make one of each of those units a lot more powerful than the others. As far as my mastery points go, I got the Fenix suit offline energy regeneration increased by 12.5%, meaning that I'm going to be able to switch to my Arbiter suit a little bit more confidently and teleport my Stargate units around, because let's be honest, they're not particularly fast. We got the champion AI attack speed, plus 25% right there, and last but not least, probably the most important one, we got the reduced research cost right here as well by minus 25%. Now, we're not going to make use of it as much as we did in yesterday's video. In yesterday's video, I shared with you my default, my go-to strategy when playing this commander. However, today we'll focus on something a little bit more cheesy. Anyway, in case you're interested in my default build, I'll leave a link to that video down below in the description of the video. But without further ado, I think it's time to jump into a game, and of course, we're playing on Brutal. Alrighty, so here we are. Let's give the GI tab right there to my ally, none other than Mutless, by the way. Same guy that has been analyzing all of the viewer submitted replays, but regardless, it's kind of funny. This build sort of started out as a joke, okay? I wanted to try out and see how fast I could potentially get out a carrier. Now, we're not gonna do a carrier rush in this particular match, but it turned out that it actually is possible to get them out, first off, really early on into the match, and they're actually surprisingly powerful because of the different AI personalities. Now, what I'm gonna do is open up with a pylon first and then go for a gas geyser. I'm sure there might be a more efficient way of doing all of this, and I might be able to get it out just a little bit faster, but this has been working out very nicely for me here so far. So I want to focus on Stargate units alone, okay? I'm not going to build anything but my Stargate units. So that does mean that I will be starting up my first Stargate right from the get-go, which I can indeed do because of that level 10 talent. Next up, I'll make sure to get myself another pylon here, so I can, of course, start producing the very first scout early on into this match, and we'll simply start focusing on as many of these probies as we possibly can. Now, contrary to yesterday's video, I'm not going to be rushing out the expansion, okay? I'm still going to be sitting on these bases for a little while longer, just because I need to get some Stargate units out. Of course, making only Stargate units, it takes a long time to get it up and running. So, we basically have to be a little bit safe in that regard, but the carrier, I mean, it's going to be capable of knocking down those rocks very early on. Now, very shortly, right around the same time as I'm starting up my first scout here, which I will begin getting right now, I'm gonna try and get myself that fleet beacon out as well. Now, scouts do build very quickly. I don't need all too many of them either. I'll go ahead and get myself the Mojo AI personality first, which is basically an upgrade to the scout, and you'll notice that I get that out very early on into the match, and plenty in time for the very first attack wave. And actually, making sure that you get a single scout like this makes life way easier. It makes things way easier. Anyway, next up, we'll do a little bit of saving up. I'll try and get myself that fleet beacon out here as well, and we'll start knocking down the rocks. Now, you notice the carrier anti-ground mode, definitely not its primary function. I mean, there's most definitely more powerful unit when it comes to the ground mode, but soon Fenix will be available as well, and eventually I'm going to be capable of getting that gas out here too. So actually, I'll send them back out here just for a little while longer. And you can see right around that time, we do indeed see the AI personality finished up here as well, and we're going to be capable of getting all of these dudes. Now, sadly, initially here, I'm not going to be capable of cleaning all of this up in one big wave. If it were like much larger units, we could kill them very easily, but we're still going to be capable of shooting all of these dudes down with relative ease. Once again, I'll focus here on, of course, getting that expansion out. I already got a pylon. And next up, we'll try and get ourselves that carrier. So already 4 minutes, I'm starting up my first carrier. I've got myself Mojo out as well as the other scout. And I'm also going to be able to get my the Glolarian Purifier upgrade right now. Once again, very, very good. We'll bring down the Praetor armor suit here as well, so we can truly start knocking this one down. And with that, I'm of course also taking my gases, because those gases are going to be crucial. Now, I do want to get myself the Fleet Beacon upgrades as well as the Cybernetics Core ones. That is mostly like the efficiency and the, you know, optimization, I guess, where there's still some room for improvement. But really, it doesn't really matter, right? You don't need to, like, have the most optimized build orders in, you know, in co-op. I mean, it's not really a necessity. As long as we can complete all of the different map objectives, it's going to be totally fine. And we should be capable of, you know, obtaining those quite easily here as well. Now, the first upgrade I would go ahead and get if I were you. You can see, by the way, Fenix himself, definitely capable of carrying his weight. The first upgrade that I would get if I were you is going to be the Graphiton Catapult. It basically makes Fenix, or rather what are they called? The carriers, significantly more powerful. And there he is. You will be able to get that upgrade here very shortly. There we go. And that will make this guy extremely good. So that is a good upgrade here to get as well. Next up, you also want to make sure that you get the interdictors, or interdictor? I don't know how to pronounce that word. Regardless though, basically all of these different Fleet Beacon upgrades are very important to get, and eventually you want to try and make sure that you max out on these. Now, of course, there's going to be quite a few units here available already. I'll switch to the anti-air mode here as well on Fenix. We'll try and clean up here for just a little while. And you'll notice here that Fenix is going to be just fine at basically closing out all of these different objectives. Now, the reason why I'm cleaning out this area is because the first bonus objective is going to be over there. I'll get myself these units out. I'll try and get myself some more upgrades. Actually, let me get the other one here first. And we'll simply clean up as many of these things as we can. And already, you may notice here, the damage we do is substantial. I mean, this is brutal, right? This is not the easy difficulty that this game has to offer. This is the most, you know, the most tricky composition, the most difficult kind of game you can play in co-op right now. Now, at some point, you'll notice as well that you start floating quite a few resources. And that is the time where I'm starting to get my other units out here as well. When I'm starting to get myself, and actually Nova is going to be capable of cleaning this up just fine. That is the time where I'm going to start switching into double cybernetics core here as well. Now, the cool thing is that in total you can support up to 8 gateways. Now, 8 may be pushing it, but you can support at least 6 of them, okay? But if you are willing to make a couple of these other units as well, and I'm queuing up, by the way, a lot of probes right now on purpose. If you're willing to go ahead and do so, you can get a lot of units out very easily. I think I'm going to focus on 6 here initially, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm basically building up that economy so I can actually properly support it. Next up, we'll start all of these upgrades here as well for the Stargate units. They're very nice, they're very good. I'll try and get myself a single forge here as well, just because we can make use of some more of those upgrades here as well. And we'll make sure here to escort the very first bonus objective, right? So, with that, we're done making any probes. I've got those all ready to go. I'm going to queue up one more carrier. Or actually, I'll get a few more pylons here first. I was going to say I want to start queuing up my Stargates here next. I'll get my second Stargate as well as the third one here for now. But, you know, we're just simply capable of doing a lot of freaking damage in a short amount of time, and it's pretty impressive. Reason why you're going to go for the Stargate units is so you can go ahead and get those upgrades right there for Fenix. You can also queue up the shields if you really badly want to. I mean, queuing up, not that big of a deal, maybe not quite perfect, but once again, you're going to be capable of completing this on the hardest difficulty just fine. So once again, I'll activate that cooldown there. That cooldown is extremely nice. Deals a lot of damage in a short amount of time. We can do a lot of different damage. And now that I've successfully gotten all of these different units ready to go, and I've got all of the last of these upgrades here as well, I'm going to be capable of switching out towards a different armor suit. My ally is currently protecting that objective here as well, and I'll just simply hang out over here for a little while. Getting myself some more carriers added right now to the production cycle, and I think this is the point. Well, we're playing quite, we're building quite a pretty base. This is the point where I can start up 3 additional Stargates here too. Now notice, this is going to take a little bit of time, right? Once again, this is not going to finish up in the next couple of minutes. But the longer that this game goes on, the more powerful it will become here as well. And that's kind of the beauty about this, okay? So notice the amount of damage we're going to be capable of doing here. Sure, we may be in some trouble here, but as soon as we kill these things, you know, this is basically the most difficult wave here. As long as rather we kill those right here, my army is going to be unstoppable. This army is going to get out of control. Now, the last wave on this map is a little tricky, just because a lot of them activate at once. But I'm going to be at 3-3 upgrades by then, and we're going to be capable of dealing so much more damage than we are right now. And already, we're cleaning up so many of these units. So notice, I'm not getting any of my gateway units. I'm not focusing on anything but a bunch of these, and it works out like an absolute charm. I can go ahead and get as many of these things as we want, but for now, I'll just queue up some more carriers. I will try and max out on Stargate units. Now, just like in the multiplayer of StarCraft 2, if you max out on Stargate units, your life is going to be pretty easy as a Protoss, right? You can just simply walk across the map and kill everything. And that's kind of true for this as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind, right? And that is one thing that can be a bit of a hassle if you're not paying close attention, is that this army moves around really slowly. And that's where the Arbiter suit comes into play. So notice, like, I don't need to micro this. I mean, I guess I can go ahead and activate this. But that's where my Arbiter suit comes into play. We're going to be capable of moving my army across the map very, very easily just by simply activating that and using the third ability that is available to basically recall towards the Arbiter here as well. Pretty sure I got all of the important upgrades right now. I mean, I don't really need to do anything else here. We'll just simply rally towards the rest of my army. I'll actually just rally towards Fenix here. That would probably be the easiest thing to do. And very shortly, actually, it's kind of funny. You can start cleaning up the base of the AI here as well. So, notice, we're not running into any issues here so far, right? I mean, we may not do the most optimized or like quote-unquote perfect version of this build, but it works like an absolute charm, and I would highly recommend you give it a try as well if you know, enjoys playing something a little bit more out of the ordinary. Now, I do want to cancel one of these to give priority to +1 or +3 attack, but now that I've got those ready to go, life's going to be pretty solid. I mean, there's a nuke going down, but I wonder if it's even going to make it, because the amount of damage that we deal is ludicrous. So notice right now, for example, right, I'm in a little bit of trouble. What I can do is simply send over Fenix and teleport the rest of my army towards this expansion. And that is the main use right there of Fenix. Sure, he does a lot of damage as well, but he's mostly used right now to, you know, get some extra maneuverability out on the map. And honestly, this kind of build on a map like this, where most of the enemies are gonna be, you know, susceptible to anti-air damage, most of those will be an absolute charm to play. Now, we can even start cleaning out all of Amon's bases. We can take, you know, his expansions here as well. Just because, you know, we need some additional gas. As you may have noticed, we have been, you know, limited by that here primarily. But, yeah, from here on out, life is going to be pretty straightforward. I can activate that cooldown here as well, the Arsenal Overload, to try and do some more damage here on Fenix. Sort of like clean up all of these bases. We can even spawn kill the objectives once they are available in the later stages of the game, just by simply standing on the point where they spawn. There's basically some beacons over there that they're trying to coming out of, or where they're trying to come out of as well. And once again, I can use the Arbiter suit here to get some more vision. Now, I'll go ahead and create one pylon here so we can get some vision over there, just in case we need to. But already we're pushing out very, very nicely. I'm gonna be capable of getting Fenix over in that direction. We'll kill the ones that spawn over here. With the what do I call it? The scouts. You can see their anti-air damage is substantial. And at that point, we can just simply teleport our entire army away and start fighting on this end of the map here instead. Isn't that insane? Isn't that super powerful? We just killed one of the objective points just like that. And, I mean, the next one, I mean, it's not even gonna get close. It's not even gonna get close. Isn't that a cool strategy? I thought it was so fun. I had to go ahead and share it with you. It's stupid powerful. Now, apparently, there are, once again, some units moving, and this is where things get a little tricky, just because my army is too slow. I mean, it needs a little bit of time right here before I can activate this thing, and I may end up losing a unit or two. But you can imagine how this would work with, for example, like Artanis. None of my units would ever die. Now you can see I'm not microing any of this, by the way. Sure, I'm losing some units, but sooner or later we'll max out here anyway. And I think it's time to go ahead and grab our beloved Amon's expansion. We can take out that base. We can take out this base. Not a problem. There's an expansion here. I need that expo. I need 6 gas. If you get the 6 gas going, that's when you can also start mining off of, you know, a little bit more. Now, I'm going to try and move some, or a single probe over towards that expansion. This is, by the way, where the units spawn from, apparently, the docking bay. So there you can see one of the sets of shuttles available already. And, like, the scouts alone, like, look at the amount of damage, right? So this is roughly 20 scouts. They're capable of shooting these things down like no tomorrow. Now, on some maps, this mission or this strategy is a little tricky, okay? Main reason for that is the fact that carriers are good, but they don't really kill things very efficiently. In the sense that sometimes you just simply notice that they will not be able to, for example, stop all of the infested from moving onwards. Like, they will basically let a couple slip through the cracks. Just because they you know, they are very powerful and they will kill things eventually, but they don't kill them very fast. Now, apparently, there are going to be some units over here. We can cloak our army here as well if we absolutely need to. Prevents the enemy from fighting us here altogether. And, I mean, I'm already building up quite a few minerals, so I think it's time for us to take an expansion. I'm going to go ahead and expand right over here. I'm going to go ahead and build a lot of cannons. We're going to secure this base, Amon. You're not gonna have it anymore. Unacceptable command. We're at maximum supply. Is that what you were going to say, Executor? And you can see, though, like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You know, let's be real. It's pretty good. Now, there will still be units spawning here as well. Funny thing is actually that some spawn out of these hatcheries and whatnot. So killing those is actually a pretty big deal. But primarily right now, you know, obviously units will also spawn in the different corners of the map just because they spawn there. So I'm gonna have to secure some cannons here to make sure that we are gonna be safe. Other than that, I'm gonna send some of my probes over to start mining from these gases. I'm sure that some of you thought I was kidding. I was planning to mine from this base. I wasn't. I actually want to try and see if I can get it up and running. We'll intercept these right here. Oh man, I need some more cannons. Now, it does require a specific map, right? Once again, to get this strategy to work. It doesn't work on all of them, but on the ones that it does, it honestly seems a little bit too strong. It honestly seems a little bit too strong. Just because so much of this, you know, damage output of this commander just simply comes out. So you can see right here, for example, a lot of them will fall down. That's a little unfortunate. Don't kill my base. Oh man, that's a huge fungal. Nice one there. Nice one, Amon. Sick fungal, dude. Impressive. Now you'll notice though that I think some of my probes ended up falling. I'll have to queue up some more. But you'll notice that sometimes they'll just simply, you know, spawn on the location, and it's a little unfortunate to try and get things to work out. But already, I mean, I think we're doing plenty here to get all of these units in position. I think we're gonna be just fine escorting this bonus objective towards the final destination here as well. So I could start, you know, chrono boosting some of these Stargates just in case I lose some of my units. I guess I'll go ahead and add on up to 10 Stargates here as well, so I can easily replace everything. So really, at that point, I mean, what could ever go wrong? What could possibly go wrong here? And once again, some units will start spawning here in the top right corner. So I will go ahead and at least put Fenix over here so we can teleport some units over there in a bit. And actually, there's some units that are spawning over here as well. So you know what? I think we're going to be alright. I don't want to lose my base, though. Do not want to lose my base. So I think I'm going to teleport some of my units away. And I mean, this is, you know, this is what this looks like. This is what this looks like when you are capable of maxing out on a lot of these high tier units. You can just simply spawn kill all of these shuttles before they even really do any kind of damage here whatsoever. And while of course it's not necessary, right? He's carpet bombing all of that. Well, of course it's not necessary. It's doable. It's a lot of fun. Would recommend it. Amon, I think I've secured that base by now, sir. Please calm down, sir. Please calm down. But already, we managed to obtain the victory there with absolutely zero issues whatsoever. Now, if you've got any recommendations of builds that you would like to see me play as well, for example, I've got one that I played quite a bit to try and speed run the different objectives, to try and complete the missions like below the 15-minute mark, which Sometimes it's impossible, but on most maps it's most definitely doable. Let me know down below in the comment section of the video, and I would love to continue creating more and more of these guides. Other than that, I would highly recommend playing this style. It's a lot of fun, in particular on some of the maps where you can focus on a lot of anti-air, because let's be honest, the scouts, they just one-shot. Like, they almost, I think if you get about 30 or so scouts out, they'll probably be able to one-shot the shuttles that spawn. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And other than that, I want to thank you very much so for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you in the next one.